There's a place in Texas where the air itself can ignite, where men walk beneath towers taller than football fields, filled with crude oil heated to over 1100 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than volcanic magma. And here's what the owners don't want you to know. This facility has killed before, nearly 600 people in a single afternoon. But the cameras keep rolling, the profits keep climbing, and the gates, they stay locked. For 72 hours, we're going inside. This is America's deadliest refinery, and the secret they hide is that your car runs on blood. Now, before you dismiss that as exaggeration, understand this. Every single day, 18 million barrels of crude oil pour into American refineries. And inside those walls, behind the security gates, the no cameras beyond this point signs, men gamble with their lives. For what? So you can fill your tank for $60 and never think about it again. In the next 12 minutes, you're going to see what happens inside a 200-foot tower of superheated death. How a single wrong gauge reading erased 23 men in 4 milliseconds. Why the company that posted record profits was also the company whose plant burned for 10 straight hours. And the one truth about American gasoline that the oil industry has spent billions trying to bury. Every statistic you're about to hear, pulled from government energy reports, legal case files, and documented industrial disaster records. No generated filler, no Wikipedia rabbit holes. Verified research, because this story is too important to get wrong. Check out the description to see the articles yourself. You came here curious, you're going to leave angry. Let's step inside. The first thing you notice isn't the noise, it's the heat. It hits you like a wall. Even at 6 in the morning, before the Texas sun has fully cleared the horizon, the air around a refinery shimmers. And when you step through those gates, past the armed security, past the sign that reads authorized personnel only, no photography, no recording devices, the world changes. Look up, way up. Those steel towers, they're not buildings, they're distillation columns, 200 feet tall, some of them taller than the Statue of Liberty. And every single one of them is packed, from bottom to top, with crude oil heated to over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. 1,100 degrees, to be exact. That's not a number I'm throwing around for drama. That's the verified operating temperature inside a catalytic cracking unit. For comparison, lava from Hawaii's Kilauea volcano flows at roughly 2,000 degrees. So we're talking about half the temperature of molten rock, inside a steel tube, with men working 20 feet away. And here's what makes your skin crawl once you understand it. Crude oil, in its raw form, isn't just flammable. At these temperatures, under this much pressure, it doesn't need a spark to ignite. It will auto-ignite on contact with oxygen. The very air you're breathing becomes the fuse. So why do they do it? Why build these death machines? Because inside every barrel of crude, every single 42-gallon drum, lies a hidden fortune. 19 to 20 gallons of gasoline, 11 to 13 gallons of diesel, jet fuel, heating oil, asphalt, petrochemicals that become plastic, polyester, pharmaceuticals. The entire modern world in liquid form. In fact, and this messes with your head the first time you hear it, refining actually creates more volume than you started with. 42 gallons of crude in, 45 gallons of products out. It's not magic, it's chemistry. The molecules literally expand when they're cracked apart. But standing there, watching it happen, it feels like alchemy. So now you understand the stakes. 18 million barrels, every day, across hundreds of American refineries, and each one is a pressure cooker the size of a small city. Which brings us to the question the oil industry really doesn't want you asking. What happens when one of these things fails? October 23, 1989, Pasadena, Texas. The Phillips Petroleum Company's polyethylene plant, right in the heart of the Houston Ship Channel, surrounded by refineries and chemical facilities for miles in every direction. It was a routine maintenance job. A crew had been sent in to clear a blockage in a settling leg, a piece of equipment that collects polymer particles during plastic production. Standard procedure. They'd done it hundreds of times before. But this time, someone made a mistake. The air hoses used to actuate the valves? 2 of them had been reversed during earlier maintenance. When the workers thought they were opening a safe path, they were actually creating a direct route for highly pressurized, superheated hydrocarbon gas to escape. 42,000 kilograms of gas, released in under 2 minutes. It formed a massive vapor cloud, invisible, silent, spreading across the facility like death fog. And then it found an ignition source. We still don't know what. A spark from a forklift, a cigarette, static electricity. It doesn't matter. The result was the same. The explosion registered 3.5 on the Richter scale. That's a measurable earthquake. It was felt 20 miles away in downtown Houston. Windows shattered. Doors blew off their hinges. The fireball, over 1,000 feet in diameter, incinerated everything in its path. 23 workers died, some of them instantly, vaporized before their nervous systems could register pain. 314 people were injured. The plant burned for over 10 hours. And when OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, finally completed their investigation, they found 566 willful safety violations. Not mistakes, not accidents, willful. As in, they knew. They knew the hoses could be reversed. They knew the emergency shutdown systems hadn't been tested. They knew. And they kept the plant running anyway. The fine? $4 million. For 23 human lives. That's about $174,000 per dead worker. Phillips Petroleum posted revenue of $12.4 billion that same year. Do the math. The fine was 0.03% of their annual revenue. A rounding error. But Pasadena, as horrific as it was, isn't even the deadliest refinery disaster on American soil. Not even close. To understand the true scale of what can go wrong, we need to go back further. Much further, and it starts, believe it or not, with a ship. April 16, 1947. Texas City, Texas, the same Gulf Coast stretch that today houses some of the largest refineries in the world. The Cess Grand Camp, a French-registered vessel, was docked at the port, loading ammonium nitrate fertilizer. 2,300 tons of it. If that chemical sounds familiar, it should. It's the same compound Timothy McVeigh used to blow up the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City, and the Grand Camp was carrying enough of it to level a small nation. At 8 in the morning, a dock worker noticed smoke rising from one of the cargo holds. They tried to extinguish it with water. Bad move. Water, combined with ammonium nitrate, creates an exothermic reaction that intensifies the fire. The hold got hotter. The smoke turned thick and orange, a color that veteran sailors recognized immediately. It meant the cargo was about to blow. The captain ordered steam, not water, into the hold, hoping to smother the flames. Too late. At 9:12 a.m., the S Grand Camp detonated. The explosion was so massive that it created a 15-foot tsunami. It shattered windows in Houston, 40 miles away. It knocked 2 small airplanes out of the sky. The ship's 2-ton anchor was found nearly 2 miles inland, where it still sits today, embedded in a memorial park. Pieces of the vessel rained down for blocks. The blast triggered a chain reaction. Nearby refineries, chemical tanks, and another ship carrying ammonium nitrate, the S High Flyer, all ignited. That second ship exploded 16 hours later. Final death toll, 581 people, over 5,000 injured. To this day, nearly 80 years later, the Texas City disaster remains the deadliest industrial accident in United States history, and the largest non-nuclear explosion ever recorded. Now, you'd think after 581 people died, the industry would have learned. You'd think the regulations would have tightened, the inspections would have become ruthless, the corners would have stopped being cut. You'd be wrong. Fast forward to March 23, 2005. Same town, Texas City, Texas, same stretch of Gulf Coast. But this time, the refinery belonged to BP, British Petroleum, one of the largest energy companies on Earth. The facility had been operating for decades. It was aging. Equipment was corroding. Alarms were faulty. And everyone, from the floor workers to the senior management, knew it. That morning, operators were restarting an isomerization unit, a piece of equipment that boosts the octane rating of gasoline. During the startup, a distillation tower was overfilled with highly flammable liquid hydrocarbons. The level indicators, the gauges that were supposed to warn the operators, weren't working correctly. They showed the tower as being less full than it actually was. By the time anyone realized something was wrong, the tower had overflowed. A geyser of liquid gasoline shot 120 feet into the air from a vent stack. It rained down on the facility, forming a flammable vapor cloud that drifted across the grounds. At 1:20 p.m., a contractor's pickup truck, parked too close to the unit, its engine still running, ignited the cloud. 15 workers died. Most of them were in a temporary trailer positioned just 121 feet from the vent stack. They never had a chance. 180 more were injured. And here's the part that should make your blood boil. BP had posted record profits that year, $19.3 billion. They were making money faster than almost any company in human history. But the maintenance budget for the Texas City refinery, slashed, safety upgrades, deferred. The investigation after the blast found that BP management had known about the faulty equipment for years. They'd done internal audits. They'd identified the exact risks. And they'd chosen, consciously, deliberately, to prioritize production over safety. The fine from OSHA? $21 million. About 0.1% of BP's annual profit that year. 4 years later, in 2010, BP would be responsible for the Deepwater Horizon disaster, killing 11 more workers and spilling 210 million gallons of crude into the Gulf of Mexico. This isn't a pattern of accidents. This is a business model. But here's the thing. As horrifying as those disasters are, as many lives as they've claimed, they're not the deepest secret the oil industry is hiding. The explosions? They make the news. You've probably heard vague references to BP or Texas City before. What you almost certainly don't know, what the industry has spent decades burying, is who actually owns America's refining capacity. If I asked you who owns the largest oil refinery in the United States, what would you guess? ExxonMobil, Chevron, some massive American corporation with a bald eagle on the logo? You'd be wrong on all counts. the largest single refinery in the United States. The Motiva facility in Port Arthur, Texas, capable of processing 654,000 barrels of crude every single day, is owned by Saudi Aramco. That's right, the national oil company of Saudi Arabia. The same Saudi Arabia that, just a few years ago, the U.S. and government was begging to increase oil production, while American citizens paid $5 a gallon at the pump. The same Saudi Arabia that coordinated with Russia to slash global oil supply in 2020, sending gas prices soaring across the Midwest. Your gasoline isn't just American, it hasn't been for a long time. And the oil companies? They want you to picture roughnecks in Texas and Oklahoma and North Dakota. They want you humming Made in the USA. But when you swipe your credit card at the pump, a slice of every single dollar flows straight to Riyadh. And that's just the beginning. The same legal system that fined Phillips Petroleum 0.03% of their revenue for 23 deaths. That's the same legal system that's never sent a single oil executive to prison for an industrial disaster. Not one. BP, Phillips, Exxon, their CEOs have sat before Congress, expressed deep regret, and gone back to collecting 8-figure bonuses. There have been 566 willful OSHA violations at one facility, 0 criminal charges, 23 deaths, 0 prison sentences, 15 deaths, 0, 581 deaths, 0. The refinery doesn't just refine oil, it refines accountability, turning mass death into unfortunate incidents, record profits into market conditions, and systemic negligence into lessons learned. And as long as the cameras stay outside the gate, and the real stories stay locked behind NAs and settlement agreements, the machine keeps running. So here's where we land. You started this video thinking you were going to learn how gasoline gets made. Instead, you just discovered that every gallon you pump into your tank has a body count, that the company processing your fuel may answer to Riyadh, not Washington, that 23 men can die in 4 milliseconds, and the only consequence is a fine so small it amounts to pocket change for a Fortune 500 corporation, that 581 souls can be erased in a single afternoon, and 80 years later, the industry runs on the same playbook: cut costs, defer maintenance, deny responsibility, and pray the next explosion happens on someone else's shift. And the secret they don't want you to see? It's not the temperature inside the distillation tower. It's not the chemistry. It's not even the disasters themselves, as horrific as those are. The real secret is this: the system is working exactly as designed. It was never built to be safe. It was built to be profitable. And when you optimize a system for profit, not safety, not human life, not accountability, you get exactly what we've shown you today, every single time. So the next time you're standing at the pump, watching the numbers climb past $60, $70, $80, remember those gates. Remember the sign that says no cameras beyond this point. Remember the 23 men, the 581, the 15, and ask yourself, what else aren't they telling us? Because now you know, and you can't unknow it.